Hi students, how are you doing? Hope you are fine, enjoying the life. Okay, yeah, I have come up with a new YouTube channel, Need Bio Prep. This is my first lecture video under Need Bio Prep. I am starting the first lecture on animal tissues. It's there in NCRT 11th class under structural organization in animals. So let's start with an exciting chapter called as animal tissues. Clear? And before rubbing this board is a very important announcement here, my dear children. Please treat this class as a original one. It's a physical session. Treat this one as a original physical session, not as a YouTube channel. Okay, get your running notes. Clear? All of you have got running notes? Yes, very good. Okay, I'll rub this board. Okay. The topic is animal tissues introduction. It's there in NCRT 11th class under structural organization in animals. It's a very important topic from NEET point of view. As many as 1, 2, 3 questions, compulsory questions will come from this one. If you include this blood under the animal tissues. Clear, students? So, first of all, we'll start with metabolism. Metabolism. What is metabolism? The sum total of all the biochemical reactions in an organism is called as metabolism. Metabolism starts from cells. Metabolism starts from cells. Hence, the cell is called as the structural and functional unit of life in an organism. Because the metabolism is there at the cell level itself. That is why it is a structural and functional units of life. Clear? A group of cells, they form the tissue. A group of cells, they form the tissue. Many groups of cells are there, beta. Clear? All these are formed to form the tissue. A group of tissues, they form the organ. A group of organs, they form the organ system. Organ system. Many organ systems like a digestive system, respiratory, excretory, etc., all these are assembled together. It forms an organism. So, in an organism, what is a unit of life? The cell is a unit of life. It is both structural and functional unit of life. Clear? See here, in animal tissues, we are discussing the present topic. Cells are there in Animalia. You take Animalia, that is animal kingdom. It contains Porifera, that is which includes the subkingdom Parazoa, and other is the Eumetazoa. Eumetazoa. All the poriferans, that is subkingdom Parazoa, contains only the cellular grade of organization. Only the cells are there. The cells are not grouped into the tissues. Many different cells are there, bachon. Clear? All these are not grouped into the tissues. That's why it is called as a cellular grade of organization. Whereas in Eumetazoa, the tissue grade is there. The tissues, many tissues, they form the organs, and which form the organ systems, and which in turn form the organism. Clear? That is, this level is there in the Eumetazoa. Okay, that is, cells are there, and here in Eumetazoa, the cells are grouped into the tissues, and tissues are grouped into the organs, into the organ systems, organism. But in Porifera, only the cellular grade of organization is there. So that is a basic approach to be taught under animal tissues. Clear? And all of these has the metabolism, and which starts from the cellular level itself here. That is why cell is called as a structural and functional unit of life. Clear? And you take, it's not that only the animals have the tissues, even the plants have the tissues, isn't it? So what is the basic difference between the animal tissues and plant tissues? Basic difference, I am not going in depth. In some other lecture, we will be discussing the plant tissues, then we will be elaborating on these points about the plant tissues. So what's the basic difference, the plant tissues and animal tissues? Most of the plant tissues are dead. Most of the plant tissues are dead. Almost all the animal tissues are living tissues. Why living tissues are present in the animals? Because animals are active and motile. Motile means moving. They can be moving here and there, isn't it? Idhar udhar. And that's why they are very active. For this moving and activeness, what is required? Energy is required. What is required? Energy is required. For energy, what is required? Metabolism is required. You take a cell, for example, students. You take a cell, okay, glucose must be moving inside, glucose, oxygen and water. And here mitochondria is there, which sees the function of metabolism in order to release the energy in the form of ATP, isn't it? So these animal tissues are living because they must be having activeness and motility in order to release the energy in the form of ATP. Whereas the plants, most of the plants are dead. Why? Because there is no motility, there is no inactive. They are very inactive, isn't it? Why they are inactive? There is no motility. They are non-motile. They are non-motile. There is no movement, bacho. Clear? There is no movement. Because there is no movement, there is no consumption of energy. That's why most of the plant tissues are dead. That's a basic difference between the animal tissues and the plant tissues. I'll stop in this point. I won't elaborate on this point here. Okay. So I'll rub the board here. All of you are noting the points now. So there is a division of labor. There is a division of labor. At the structural organization of animals, there is a division of labor. Different tissues are there. Different tissues like epithelial tissues, muscular tissues, isn't it? Nervous tissues have got different functions. There is a division of labor. In the same way, organs and organ system, there is a division of labor. Clear? This is the first aspect of tissues to be discussed. Now the second aspect of tissues to be discussed is the historical background. Historical background. Historical background. Under this we will be discussing. This is the first aspect. The second aspect of animal tissues is historical background. The first one to be discussed is the term tissue. Means a group of cells. Here animal tissues are there, isn't it? The term animal tissue, the third term animal tissue is given by Bichette. The term animal tissue is given by Bichette. Next one, the term plant tissue. The term plant tissue is given by Grew, a scientist called as Grew. Clear? The third point is the study of tissues is called as histology. What is that? Histology. The study of tissues is called as histology. Now, what is histology? Histology came from two root words. One is histon. Histon means tissues. Histon means tissues. Logos means study. What is logos? Study. That is, study of tissues is called as histology. The study of tissues is called as a histology. Who gave the word histology? A scientist called as Mayer. A scientist called as Mayer gave the term histology. Histon means tissues and logos means study. And father of histology. This is the term histology term histology. Next point is father of histology. All of you are noting now. Father of histology, again Bichard. Father of histology, Bichard. Historical background of animal tissues. Animal tissue, the term animal tissue was given by Bichard. Plant tissue by Grew. The term histology was coined by Mayer. Father of histology, Bichard. Histology came from two root words called as histon means tissues and logos means study. Clear? Next one, these tissues are studied under the microscopic level. The tissues are studied under the microscopic level, and that's called as a microscopic anatomy or microanatomy. Microscopic anatomy or microanatomy. What is anatomy? Anatomy means the study of internal body parts, isn't it? When the internal body parts, that is anatomy, is studied at the microscopic level, and that is nothing but histology, isn't it? So microscopic anatomy or microanatomy is, and this microanatomy knowledge was most contributed by a scientist called as Marcello Malpighi. Marcello Malpighi elaborated on the knowledge of microanatomy. This is the second aspect of animal tissues, that is historical background. Animal tissues, Bichard. Plant tissues, Grew. The term histology by Mayer. Father of histology, Bichard. Microscopic anatomy or microanatomy, the knowledge was most contributed by Marcello Malpighi. Clear, students? This is the second aspect, and the third aspect of animal tissues is classification of tissues. Classification of tissues. That is, how many types are there? That's it. Very simple. Bachcho, clear. Classification of tissue. That is, how many types are there? We'll be writing this one with a black pen. Quick. Number one is basing on the structure. All of you write down. Basing on the structure, function, etc. Most importantly, structure and function and other aspects. There are basically 4 different types of tissues. How many different types of tissues are there? Animal tissues I'm saying here, okay? So there are basically four different types of animal tissues. That is a classification of tissue. What is the basis of classification? The structure of cells and the functional aspects of cells. Basing on this one, 4 different types of animal tissues are there. The first one is called as epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues. It's very simple, clear. Next one is connective tissues. Connective tissues, clear. And third one is called as muscular tissues. Muscular tissues. Next one is nervous tissues. There are 4 different types of tissues are there. Epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissues. What is the basis of classification? The structure of the cells in which where it is assigned. Next one is the functional aspects of the cells in a tissue. Okay. That is different types of tissues are there. Clear, students? These epithelial tissues are derived from ectoderm or mesoderm as well as endoderm. Whereas connective tissues, mesoderm, muscular tissues, mesoderm, and nervous tissues, ectoderm. Epithelial tissues can be derived either from ectoderm, some of them from ectoderm, some of them from mesoderm, and some of them from endoderm. Next one is connective tissues derived from mesoderm, muscular tissues also from mesoderm, and nervous tissues from ectoderm. See here, there is no hard and fast rule that so and so tissue derived only from this one. Ectoderm, all the layers, embryo, because what are these ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm? During the embryonic stages, some are derived, some structures are derived from ectoderm, and some are from mesoderm, some are from endoderm, and connective tissues mostly from mesoderm, but not always from mesoderm. Clear? Next one, muscular also mesoderm, nervous tissue, ectoderm, and some of these cells called as microglial cells. Microglia, they belong to nervous tissue. They are derived from mesoderm. Almost most of the nervous tissue is derived from ectoderm, but microglial cells are there which belong to nervous tissue. They are derived not from ectoderm but from mesoderm. So what's the conclusion? The tissue can be derived, okay, mostly from so and so layer, but a few exceptions are there. And within a tissue, the structure is not always same. The cells may be different, having the different structures, isn't it? For example, you take the muscular tissue. Muscular tissue has the striated muscles are there, so and so structure, and unstriated muscles are there, or smooth muscles are there, so and so structure, or cardiac muscles are there, different structure. So this tissue, the cells present in the tissues may not be having the similar structure. And if similar structure and along with the similar function may not be there within the same tissue, the function of the cells may be differing, varying, isn't it? So now jumping to the definition of tissue. Basing on this background, let's go to the definition of tissues. We hadn't defined the tissue, isn't it? Now we shall be discussing for a clear conceptual understanding. Clear? So first, before this one, these are first, second, and third aspects. I am prepping this board. Clear? So next one is the fourth aspect of tissues is definition of tissues. Let's define the tissues now. Okay, first of all, whenever the people give the lectures on ML tissues, they first of all define, but now with this background, I chose to define the tissues. Clear? Is my, okay. Definition of tissues now. A group of cells, example, these are the cells. So much. These are the different groups of cells. A group of cells, they form the tissue. This is the tissue, for example. So these are the different cells are there. And gaps are there. Can you see the gaps? The gaps are called as extracellular spaces. Extracellular spaces. All of you are noting now. Extracellular spaces are intercellular spaces. बीच में सेल्स के बीच में रहते हैं ना. Yes, extracellular spaces or intercellular spaces are there between the gaps. Gaps are there. These are the gaps, isn't it? So these are called as extracellular spaces or intercellular spaces. These intercellular spaces or extracellular spaces are filled with the fluid. And that's why it's called as a extracellular fluid or extracellular matrix. Extracellular fluid, also called as matrix. What is a matrix now? It is nothing but a fluid. The fluid-like substance present in the extracellular spaces. Some gaps are there, and these are called as extracellular spaces. In the extracellular spaces, the fluid is there, and that's why it's called as extracellular fluid or extracellular matrix here. So what is a tissue now? A tissue means not only a group of cells, but also along with the extracellular matrix. A tissue means a group of cells along with the extracellular matrix. And as you know, these structures, a tissue must be having a similar origin. A tissue must be having a similar origin. In the definitions, they define this tissue as a one which is having the similar origin. Okay. Next one is the similar structure. Similar structure. Next one is similar function. Similar function. See here. But here you take epithelial tissues. Some of them are derived from ecto, meso or endoderms. You take a muscular tissue, some exceptions are there. And you take this nervous tissue, mostly from ectoderm, but a few are from mesoderm also. Example, microglial cells. So tissue need not be of a similar origin. Different dissimilar origins may be there, but mostly of similar origin. A few exceptions may be there, isn't it? And next one is they may not be having the similar structure also. The cells may not be having the similar structure. They may be varying the structure also. And they may not be having the similar function also. There may be varying in the changing in the function also. So that is but a cell tissue is always a group of cells with the extracellular matrix. Okay, this is the definition of tissues. So this is the tissue introduction. Now we will be moving again to the structure here. You see here, different types of tissues are there: epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous tissues. And next aspect of tissues is regeneration. See here is a fifth aspect of tissues is regeneration. Of course, it's very important actually. It's very important for need bit. All of you note down. Regeneration. The power of regeneration is different in different tissues. The highest power of regeneration is there in the epithelial tissues. The highest power of regeneration is there in the epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues are having the highest power of regeneration. Okay. And whenever the tissue damage is there, for example, it is present on the skin. Okay, as epidermis is there, stratified squamous epithelium, isn't it? And whenever this skin damage is there, most of them can be regenerated because the highest power of regeneration is there for the epithelial tissues. Next one is the connective tissues. Connective tissues. When compared to epithelial tissues, very less power of regeneration is there for the connective tissues. And whenever there is an injury, okay, there is a scar formation is there. For example, there is a surgical operation or any wound is appearing. After wound healing, what happens? A small scar appears, isn't it? You know the scar. The scar is there, isn't it? A scar appears. And the scar is nothing but connective, fibrous connective tissue here. The scar formation, all of you note down. The scar formation is nothing but fibrous connective tissue. Fibrous connective tissue. It is the appearing after surgical operation or after the wound healing. And next one is the muscular tissue. I'll rub the board and here I insert gaze. Okay, muscular tissue. Muscular tissue regeneration here. We are discussing here muscular tissue. Clear? And there are three types of muscular tissues to be discussed in the later videos, lectures. First one is the striated muscle. Striated muscle. Muscular tissue here. And unstriated muscle. Unstriated muscle. And cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle. Striated muscles has the moderate power of regeneration. Moderate. Because they have the satellite cells are there. Satellite cells are there. The satellite cells are the, all of you note down, satellite cells are the stem cells present in the striated muscular tissue. Striated means voluntary muscle, isn't it? Under the conscious control of the human being or animal, that is called as a striated muscle. And there is a limited power of regeneration or a moderate power of regeneration is there because of the presence of these satellite cells. Because of the presence of this, and these satellite cells are present only in the striated muscles. Okay. And next one is the unstriated muscles. The unstriated muscles unstriated muscles, I am writing here, the unstriated muscles are having the limited, not limited, unlimited power of regeneration is there. Unlimited power of regeneration is there. Whereas you take a striated muscles, they have the limited power of regeneration, and even that limitation, even that so and so little power is because of the satellite cells which can regenerate the lost parts. We can repair the lost tissues present in the striated muscles. But whereas you take the unstriated muscles, the unlimited power of regeneration is there. Why? Because it's a very, very important debate. All of you note down. These unstriated muscles have the unique cells called as the pericytes. The pericytes are present in the unstriated muscular tissue. These pericytes are present in the blood vessels. Smaller blood vessels, pericytes are present, and whenever there is a loss, damage to the unstriated muscles, the tissue repair is there. Because of the pericytes, there is a tissue repair is there for the unstriated muscles. Highest power of regeneration is in the muscular tissue. Which one is having the highest power of regeneration? Unstriated muscles are having the highest power of repair and regenerative ability is there because of the presence of the pericytes. And you take the cardiac muscles. What is a cardiac muscle? The heart muscle. It is unique only to the heart, isn't it? And the least power of regeneration is there. In the muscular tissue, which type is having the least power of regeneration? The heart muscle or cardiac muscle is having the least power of regeneration. So type in the comment box, all of you, which muscular tissue is having the highest power of regeneration and which one is having the least power of regeneration within the muscular tissue. All of you type in the comment box below. Clear? So first of all, that is about the muscular tissue. Next one, coming to the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is having the least power of regeneration. Least. Almost none. Least, we can't say even least, almost none. Nil. Negligible amount of regeneration is there, and that's why there is a irreversible loss of the brain. Whenever the brain is damaged, it cannot be repaired. Why? Because the brain contains the nervous tissue. When the nervous tissue is damaged, it cannot be repaired, it cannot be regenerated. That is why if the brain damage is there, there is a irreversible loss is there. In the similar way, when the heart is damaged, which consists of muscular tissue, there is an irreversible loss. When the heart is damaged, it cannot be repaired, only transplanted, that's it, isn't it? So this is having the least power regeneration. That's why heart and brain, there is a irreversible loss is there. Major organs, two major organs. You know, this heart is for feelings and brain is for thinking, isn't it? You see here, that is an amazing structure, isn't it? So this one is a animal tissues introduction, and we'll be moving to the next aspect of animal tissues, that is epithelial tissues introduction. Clear, students? So I'll be discussing now the epithelial tissues introduction. So students, the first type of tissue is the epithelial tissues. Clear? I told you three types of tissues are there: epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues, and nervous tissues. and we'll be discussing various characteristics of epithelial tissues. Clear? In this video itself. Epithelial tissues, first of all, this term was given by a scientist called as Roest. A scientist called as Roest has coined the term epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues is also called as epithelium. Epithelial tissue is also called as epithelium. Epithelial, it has two root words. One is epi. Epi means upon. Epi means upon. Thelia means growing. Thelia means growing. As the name indicates, epithelial tissue always is present on other tissue. For example, this one tissue, इसके ऊपर, this one is the epithelial tissue here. This one is the underlying tissue. This is the overlying tissue. Overlying means ऊपर, underlying means नीचे. Epithelial tissue is always growing on other tissue. That's why it's called as epithelium. It grows on other tissues. It was coined by a scientist called as Roest. Clear? And this, I told you now, these are derived from, some of them are derived from ectoderm, and some of them are derived from mesoderm. Mesoderm. And some of them are derived from endoderm. So this is the first point to be noted under epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues also called as epithelium, coined by Roest. Epi means upon, thelia means growing. And this is the second aspect to be noted, second point, that is the origin of epithelial tissues. The cells are derived either from ectoderm, some from ectoderm, some from meso, some from endoderms. All the three germ layers. And you have to note this most important point, that epithelial tissues are the first tissues to be originated. The epithelial tissues are the first tissues to be originated during the embryonic development. So type in the comment box, students, which tissue of the four major tissues, which tissue is the first to be developed during the embryonic stages. All of you type in the comment box. So ectoderm. Example, you take epidermis. Ectoderm, epidermis. Epidermis is present on the skin, isn't it? It consists of stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium is there. Clear? Stratified squamous epithelium. And some from mesoderm, isn't it? Is the first point. Second point is mesoderm. Some from the mesoderm. Example, mesothelium. Mesothelium. And here example is simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium. Next one is the endoderm. Endoderm. Inner lining of the gut. Inner lining of gut. And this has a simple columnar epithelium. Simple columnar epithelium. See here, some are derived from ectoderm, some cells of epithelial tissues are derived from ectoderm, some from meso, some from endoderms. What's an example of ectoderm? Epidermis. It is present on the skin and it contains the stratified squamous epithelium. And next one is the mesoderm. Some cells are derived from mesoderm also. And what is an example of mesoderm? Mesothelium is a epithelial tissue which is derived from mesoderm. And it contains a simple squamous epithelium. Clear? Next one is some cells of the epithelial tissues are derived from endoderm also. And what is an example? Inner lining of the gut. Example is simple columnar epithelium. No need to worry, bachon, all of you. I'll be elaborating under classification of epithelium, that is simple epithelium and compound epithelium. I'll be discussing in detail what is stratified, what is mesothelium, what is simple squamous, what is simple columnar. All these things will be discussed under classification. That is after 2 or 3 lectures I'll be discussing all these things clear. Just remember here. Now it's very easy to remember, my dear students. E for ectoderm, E for epidermis. See here, E, E. M for mesoderm, M for mesothelium. In this way, you can easily remember here. And this is a combination. Choose the correct combination question. In the NEET, this will be given and this will be jumbled here like this. And you are supposed to match the following. Match the following here. This, because this column A, column B and column C, this will be jumbled and you are supposed to match. Clear? And this is the first aspect of epithelial tissue. Epi means upon, thelium is growing. Term was coined by Roest. Regarding origin, some are ecto, some are meso, some are from endoderm. These are the examples. The second aspect of epithelial tissues. And the third aspect of epithelial tissues now we will be discussing. Epithelial tissues are very much systematic. They are very much disciplined. In fact, epithelial tissue is the only tissue where the cells are regularly arranged. Regularly arranged here. You take some other tissue, the cells are, you take a connective tissue or some other tissue, the cells are not regularly arranged. There is no discipline, you can say. But there is a regular, almost a regular arrangement of cells is there in the epithelial tissues. Okay, see here. So the nucleus, see here, they are systematically arranged. There is a discipline is there. There is a uniformity is there. The cells are uniformly arranged. A regular arrangement of cells is there. That is the next aspect here. Regular arrangement of cells. Regular arrangement of cells. A question may come, which of the following tissues has a regular arrangement of cells? Number 1, muscular tissue. Number 2, connective tissue. Number 3, epithelial tissue. Number 4, muscular tissue. See here, isn't it? Like this, 4 are there, and what's the answer? Epithelial tissue is the answer. Number 3 is the answer. Clear? See here, this is the regular arrangement. And the most important aspect is, even though there is a regular arrangement of cells, they're tightly packed. Can you see here? Almost they are tightly packed. There is no gap. If the gap is there, what's the importance of this one? You see here, I'll explain some other tissue here, then you will get the point. For example, this is some other tissue. Okay, other tissue I'm saying here, other tissue, but not epithelial here. Other tissue, but not epithelial. This is the epithelial tissue. This is some other tissue. Here, these are the cells. See here, these are the cells. This forms a tissue. And here is a matrix. Extracellular matrix is there. This is other tissue. This is epithelial tissue. Okay. And the most important property of the blood, that is a fluid, is to supply the oxygen, nutrients like glucose for metabolism. See here, this is a blood which is carrying the nutrients, that is glucose, for example, oxygen, water, etc., etc., isn't it? And here the cells are receiving this blood, means through the blood vessels, arteries, all these things, and they're receiving, these cells are receiving the glucose, oxygen, water required for the metabolism. So there is no disruption of metabolism in other tissues. But here, you see here, there is no gap. That is an amazing structure here. There is no gap there because they are tightly packed. When there is no gap, no blood vessels, no blood vessels, no lymphatic vessels, lymphatic vessels. All these vessels can go here because they are tightly packed. When there is no blood supply, what happens? The glucose, oxygen, water, these are not supposed to transfer here because the blood vessels are not penetrating, piercing here. Why? Because there is no gap, because these cells are tightly packed here. Then how can it go? Will the epithelial tissue sustain its life, continue its life? Yes, it is possible, bachcho. Why? How? There is an arrangement here. Always, when we are in danger, we have a friend, a dost. And this epithelial tissue also has got a dost in the form of connective tissues. It says, my huna, epithelial tissue, come on. Zindagi se lado, connective tissue says. And that's called as how this is possible. Let's discuss now. Clear? So, this is the fourth aspect of epithelial tissues. The first aspect, the second aspect, origin. The third aspect, regular arrangement. The fourth aspect is the epithelial tissues are avascular. The fourth aspect is epithelial tissues are avascular. First of all, what is avascular? A means without. A means without. Vascular means blood supply. So now note down in the comment box which is the avascular tissue. Note down, all of you, comment box. Avascular, A means without, vascular means blood. There is no blood supply is there here. The gaps tightly packed. How can the blood vessels penetrate, pierce? It's not possible. That's why there is no blood supply. Even then it can survive. How it is possible? Because of a dost in the form of connective tissues. In the form of connective tissues. See here, here is the connective tissue. Here is the connective tissue. इसका दोष है ये, okay? It is a connective tissue. And this is the epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue. Clear? And इसके बीच में here epithelial tissue consists of epithelial cells. Because it's a tissue consists of epithelial cells. Epithelial cells will secrete a substance here. Here is present a layer just below the epithelial tissue here, just adjacent to the, immediately adjacent to the epithelial tissue, there is a layer, and that's called as basal lamina. Basal lamina. Okay, and this is the basal lamina. Clear? This is the basal lamina. Okay, and here is the reticular lamina. Here is the reticular or fibrous lamina, you can say here. Clear? This is the layer, another layer is there. And this is the fibrous lamina. Fibrous lamina. Clear? Basal lamina is present immediately adjacent to the epithelial tissues, and fibrous lamina is present immediately adjacent to the connective tissues. Lamina, all of you note down, what is a lamina? Lamina means the layer. Lamina means the layer. See here, a bi-layered structure, a two-layered structure is there. One is the basal lamina, other is the fibrous lamina between the epithelial tissue and the connective tissues. Both the layers, that is fibrous lamina and basal lamina, are together called as the basement membrane. Basement membrane. Fibrous lamina and basal lamina both are together called as a basement membrane. Basement membrane is, how is the basement membrane? It is thin, very thin, not thin. Because actually it's appearing like this because for the sake of understanding on the board description I have drawn a very broad layer, but it is not this much broad. It's very thinner layer. Okay, it's a very thin but highly permeable of substances, highly permeable of substances. Acellular does not have any cells, and that's why it is non-living. How is the basement membrane? It is very thin, highly permeable of substances, and acellular means non-living. There are no cells are there. A means without and cells means, cellular means cells, without cells, and there is no metabolism. That is why it's called as a non-living layer. Now, I told you now it is highly permeable substance, highly permeable. Why it should be highly permeable? Because this is avascular. Epithelial tissue is avascular. There is no blood supply, but there should be a supply of different substances to the epithelial tissue from underlying connective tissue. This is the underlying connective tissue. See here, connective tissue is underlying. Underlying means below, niche. There is, if you write down, underlying means below. Underlying connective tissue is there, and to this one connective tissue like this, the substances are reaching the epithelial tissue here, because the basal and fibrous lamina which is present, it is highly permeable even though it is non-living and thin. Clear? And basal lamina consists of the glycoprotein. All of you note down, students. Glycoprotein. The basal lamina consists of which one? Glycoprotein. What is a glycoprotein? Glycogen is a carbohydrate and protein. That is, carbohydrate plus protein is called as a glycoprotein. The glycoprotein which is present in the basal lamina is secreted by the cells of epithelium. The glycoprotein present in the basal lamina is secreted by the epithelial tissue, cells of the epithelium. And here, this is the fibrous lamina, isn't it? The fibrous lamina consists of the matrix. All of you see here, this is I'm writing here. The fibrous lamina, this is the fibrous lamina. The fibrous lamina consists of the matrix. That is fluid substance. And the fluid substance consists of mucopolysaccharide. Mucopolysaccharide. The mucopolysaccharide is in the form of hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid. Where is this hyaluronic acid present elsewhere in the human body? Type in the comment box below. Clear? I repeat here. The basal lamina consists of glycoprotein. Glycoprotein is secreted by the cells of the epithelium. And the fibrous lamina consists of the matrix. And the matrix is nothing but, matrix is containing the mucopolysaccharide. This is the matrix of the connective tissue. And this mucopolysaccharide is in the form of hyaluronic acid. Very important, need to be clear. This matrix of fibrous lamina contains two fibers. One is the reticular fibers and collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are there. In the fibrous lamina, there is a matrix in the form of mucopolysaccharide. It contains some mucopolysaccharide. And mucopolysaccharide is in the form of hyaluronic acid. The matrix also contains the fibers in the form of two types of fibers are there. One is the reticular fiber, other is a collagen fiber. And because of the presence of these two types of fibers, It is called as a fibrous lamina. See here, fibrous lamina. Why? Because it contains the fibers. Two types of fibers are there. One is a reticular, other is a collagen fibers are there. Clear? Fibrous lamina is also called as reticular lamina. Fibrous lamina is also called as a reticular lamina. Clear? Lamina means layer. So we will be coming up with the further lectures in the future, tomorrow. If you want a separate video on microvilli, cilia and stereocilia, please type in the comment box. I'll be discussing cilia. First of all, cilia, stereocilia, microvilli in a separate video if you want. Please type in the comment box below. I'll be discussing also the intercellular junctions, after which I'll be discussing the classification of epithelial tissue starting with the epithelial tissue here. Epithelial, simple epithelium. Starting with the simple epithelium, I'll be discussing. Clear, students? Hope you enjoyed the session. Jai Hind, my dear students, all of you. God bless you all.